So good. So crazy good. It's just amazing to me. You know, when you're close right here and Don, you have to move around like that. You have to be an agile person, don't you? And strong. I'm glad that you're here doing that. Fantastic. Well, welcome to Christ United Methodist Church. It's great to have you all here this morning. If you are new, I want to especially thank you for coming. There are welcome packets that are back at the back and also here at the front that tell you a little bit about the church. And so if you're brand new, please make sure to get one of these afterwards. And I'll be at the back, and you can tell me I'm new, and then I'll come running up here and get one of these for you. Well, it's great to have you all here. I invite you to stand as you're able and join in the call to worship.
For all the saints who have gone before us, who have spoken to our hearts and touched us with your fire,
we give thanks
and praise, O God. For all the saints who live beside us, whose weaknesses and strengths are woven with our own,
we give
thanks and praise, O God. For all the saints who live beyond us, who challenge us to change the world with them, we give thanks and praise today.
I invite us to take a minute to go find someone that we may not know, say hello to them, welcome them with the peace of Christ. Let's take a minute. Did you meet somebody new? I hope you met somebody new. At the top of the bulletin, you read All Saints Sunday All Saints Day coming this week, of course, right after Halloween. This week I received notice that one of my seminary professors had passed away. His name was Dr. Larry Graham at Iliff School of Theology, and I stopped when I got that message, and I thought about all the people who had been teachers of mine through the years, and all the professors that I'd had at Iliff who had died in the past, 5-6 years. And it started me thinking and reflecting about how much they influenced my life and the way that I think about church and the way that I think about God. And so this morning we have a time where we're going to stop and we remember some of the people who have been influential in this church and who have been the saints to you. And also, as we do that, I'm going to invite you to hold in your mind, if you want to say it out loud, names of those people who have died in the past year that have been friends and family members and also saints to you, teachers or professors or business colleagues, people who you bring to mind who have been so influential and part of your lives. I'm going to read these names off. These are the people who are members and friends of this congregation who have passed away this past year. Thelma Carter, Coralie Child, Jim Elmsley, Daniel Goodwin, Doris Hall, Burge Hendrian, Dick Herman, David Hilding, Ben Ivy, Francis Jones, Dean Martin, Alice Raines, Orrin Randall, John Meyer, Rudy Zitzman. I invite you to name those people who are not on that list, but who are saints to you. Dr. Larry Graham. I invite you to join with me in the unison prayer. Thank you for the saints of our lives, O God, for those who have touched us and challenged us, for those who have given their lives for your vision of goodness and peace on earth. May we learn from them, taking heart in their courage, finding inspiration from their faithfulness, listening ever more dearly for their whispers and yours. May we respond to all the ways we are being called and renew our commitment to justice and compassion. May we grow as your people, as your community of faith, so that we too might leave a legacy of love. Amen. I invite us to join in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. At this point, I'm going to invite Ruth to come up, and she's going to share this reading from the book of Ephesians.
I, therefore, the prisoner in the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in all. But each of us was given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. The gifts he gave were that some would be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers, to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, for building up the body of Christ, until all of us come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to maturity, to the measure of the full stature of Christ. We must no longer be children, tossed to and fro and blown about by every wind of doctrine, by people's trickery, by their craftiness in deceitful scheming. But speaking the truth in love, we must grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and knit together by every ligament with which it is equipped, as each part is working properly, promotes the body's growth in building itself up in love. But speaking the truth in love, we must grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and knit together by every ligament, and I read this once before, with which it is equipped, as each part is working properly, promotes the body's growth in building itself up in love. The word of God for the people of God.
I, therefore, the prisoner in the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you've been called. To lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called. The calling to which you have been called. What have you been called to? What have you been called to? What have you been called to? It kept ringing in my ears this week. What have I been called to? 30 years ago, I thought about becoming a minister. And so I was invited to come over to the pastor's house. His name happened to be Bruce Grauberger. His dad was a minister, and so he'd been in the church for a long, long time. So I went over to the parsonage, to his house. He enjoys his house. And the only thing that I remember from that day is that I sat on a flowered couch. I can't remember anything else, a flowered couch. And he talked and I talked about what it was to be a minister. And he said at the end, "Are you going to do it?" And I said, "All right, I think I will." When I thought about that, and I thought about what talents I did not possess, and I did not possess a lot of talents. I didn't possess the talent of music. I was not a good writer. I hadn't spoken publicly. Basically, what I had done was go to college, got my business degree, and I came out and was a statistician for a couple of years, and then in management for about 10 years. I didn't have talents for ministry, gifts for ministry. That was not my thing. But the one thing that I thought that I could do was this. I thought to myself, I think I can help people when they are in need. That was the talent that I thought I had. I think I could help people when they are in need. Sometimes I have been able to do that. Sometimes I have failed at it. On Friday, I got a call. It was at 12:30 at lunchtime. I was here at the church. Got a call from the pastor in Laramie, Wyoming. Some of you have probably been to Laramie. It's on the east side of Wyoming. I looked it up. It was 5.5 hours away from Salt Lake City. And the pastor asked me, I didn't know the pastor. He was in Rocky Mountain Conference, but I hadn't met him. He said, "I have a family here who needs some help when they get to Salt Lake City later today. Can you help them?" And I thought to myself, I got a dinner date tonight. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I have a dinner date tonight at 6 o'clock. How am I supposed to help these folks? And then I think he heard my resentment in my voice, and he said, this is a family of 5, and one of them is a 7-month-old. I think he was trying to warm my cold heart. Do you know that the Grinch who stole Christmas? My heart was too small. So I said, that's fine. Go ahead, and if they can get here by 6:30, that'll be great. So I told the person I was going to have dinner with, I've got somebody coming, and so it might be a little bit later. Is that okay? And they said, that's fine. At 8:30 on Friday night, I got a call from Carlos. And he said, I'm in Salt Lake City. And I said, where are you at? And he said, I'm by the highway. And I thought he was up by Highway 80. And so I said, come on to Christ United Methodist Church, find that, and then I'll meet you there in 15 minutes or so. He said, okay. I got here about 2 minutes before he did. He drove up in a kind of an older van. And he came out, and he had an accent. Carlos did. I thought he was going to be Hispanic, but he wasn't. I didn't know where he was from. And I said, we're going to go down to the Motel 6, which is on 33rd. You can call it 33rd, 3300. 33rd on West 33rd. So we drove over there. He followed me. I said, do you have enough gas? He said, I think I can make it. Got there. He got out, and he had a little girl who was maybe 4 or 5 years old. She was this tall. She never said a word. She just hung on to her dad's hand. She came in to the Motel 6. I was there, got my credit card out, went up to the counter. The person on the counter had an accent. And he could hear Carlos, because we were talking back and forth, who had an accent. And the person said, where are you from? And he said, Romania. And then the person who was at the counter, the checkout counter, said, I'm from Nepal. And so as we were going through that, I was looking at the clerk at Motel 6, and I was looking at Carlos, and I was thinking, the clerk at the Motel 6 had more compassion for this person than I did. And he said, I will give you the cheapest discount that I can. And so I paid the money, and then I said, how much gas do you have? He was going on to Sacramento. And he said, I don't have anything. And I said, okay, I'll give you some money for gas. I gave him some money that I had in my billfold. And then I said, do you have any food money? He said, no. And I thought, what? Okay. Sometimes you get taken as a pastor. People come in and get help, and you get taken. I hate that as a pastor, when you feel like you've been taken. But here, I know that this person needed help. And so I said, okay, that's fine. There was an ATM right there. I went and got some more money, gave him enough money to get to Sacramento. When I think about the talents that we have, I think about the different things that people can do, whether it's the things for Days for Girls that you did, and the people who put those together, or John and Sarah, the music talent that you have. I think about Rex Dabbling, who came in at 6:30 this Friday morning, and he shoveled all this asphalt that we had broken out of the parking lot that we had to replace. And I thought, I can't drive one of those front end loaders. I would have no idea how to do that. The different people, you folks have different talents. You folks have different talents. And sometimes you'll use them. You'll raise your hand and you'll say, I will help you do that. I can do that. And sometimes, you kind of sit on your hands. I've been there before, sitting on my hands. Somebody's asked, can you help? And I forget that I can. And so I sit on my hands and I don't raise my hand. I can help. Last week I asked people to help me. Do you remember that? Some of you were here last week. And I said, can you help me? I need some help on Monday for one of the people in the congregation. And so people came and we were able to help this person. And I thought to myself, I could not have done all the different things that these people did. I just don't have the skill. Like, one person was there and she was so calm. She knew exactly who to call at the right time. And I thought to myself, as a pastor, I should be that calm. I should know who to call at the right time, but I don't. You have in you these great talents. That's part of what stewardship is, I think, to figure out what talent you have and to bring it to the church, to give it to the church. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about your time, although sometimes time is going to be required of you. I see these people, I see Ray and I see Doug, and I see them sitting on these committees. Can I tell you about committees? Committees? That is the most boring word in the world. It is the most boring thing in the world. And yet I have seen people in committees who've become friends through the years, who have figured out a way, sitting on that committee with their friends, sometimes strangers, but sometimes friends, make differences in how the church runs and how the church is in ministry in the world. I think that's fantastic. Even in the most boring, long, I hate long committee meetings. Even in those, I have seen the talent of people come up to the surface, and it makes my heart sing. So I don't know, as you think about yourself, what talents you might think you have. I think we have them. I think we have them. And the question during stewardship is always this: what am I going to give? What am I going to give? So as we go through this coming 2 weeks, I want you to think about what you can give in the way of your talent to the church. Some of you could be Sunday school teachers. Some of you could sit on a committee. Some of you can help put together videos, or you have gifts that I don't even know about. But you go, I think I can do something for the church. And once you do that, you never know where it's going to take you. Because it could be that you will come and sit on some flowered couch. You don't know what's going to happen then. Would you think about what talent you can give to the church? Would you do that this week? Amen. So all those years ago, 30 years ago, I'd gone and sat on that flowered couch, and then on Sunday night, the congregation came, and we gathered together, and it was some kind of a meeting. And when you become a pastor, a candidate for becoming a pastor, you have to have the people in the church sign a note that, yeah, we think he or she should be a pastor. And so they did that night, and I have a list of the 34 people who were there still. And then we sang a song, and it was this song that we're going to sing, Here I Am, Lord. It asks us what we can bring to the church. I invite you to stand as you are able and join in singing. The stars of night
Join me in the benediction. The Spirit of God is upon us again today. God has anointed us to be bearers of good news today. The saints in our past shared that good news with us before. It's our time now. Let us not shrink from it now, but boldly go where we need to go and do what we need to do. Now is the time to use our talents. Now is the time.